Good morning, everyone. And first of all, Britain has decided to get with the plan and has realised it's summer and stopped raining, which is good. So, thank you to everyone that took part in the polls and the interactive war game so far. Unfortunately, the downside of British summer is hay fever. So, I am sniffing again. The pollen count is really high and it's affecting a lot of people, not just me. Normally, I'm not too badly affected, but here we go, on with the war game. So, first of all, big shout out to everyone who took part. I'm going to start looking at the submarine, the bottle class from the Marmation perspective. Then we're going to do some theory. Then we're going to look at the hunt for the saboteurs and then the hunt for the bottle class. And I'll probably reverse the last two. So, firstly, the poll. Good responses. Option north, going north to tag onto a merchant ship, is tied with legging it to South Africa and claiming asylum. Going south and signalling for a support vessel, also a good choice, came in third place. Now, unfortunately, if we did do the option of legging it to South Africa and claiming asylum, the war game would be over. Now, the captain is actually a very good Marmation. He's a paid up member of the Marmite party, as is the first officer, and as is the political commissar on board this tiny sub. So of the 14 crew, one of them, in this case the navigator, is also a political commissar, and he has access to the weapons locker, as does the captain and first officer. Being good Marmatians and members of the Marmite party, who you either love or hate, they have been very incensed by that suggestion. They're good Marmatians and they will not proceed to South Africa and abandon their wonderful bottle class submarine. They are going to head north and try and tag onto a merchant ship. And that's a really good option because these are the ways that submarines hide. The first way to hide is by being very quiet under the sea. They also use current and salinity to hide. So they try and mask their noise because the ocean itself is made up of different levels of salinity and different levels of temperature and current. So the submarine will use the various levels of salinity, which always differ per ocean, per time of the year, to try and reduce its own noise signal, because it will have some, even when it's running on electric only. With its 1 week submerged endurance, it will generate some noise. It will be looking to use the current, depth and salinity to reduce its noise signal. It will also be using topography along the ocean. Now, the ocean here in the Mozambique Channel / Oilum Channel is deep, but there are underwater features which can refract and deflect noise. Like I said, it does have a 1 week submerged speed. It also has decoys on board, both active decoys and passive decoys, which can activate remotely. So it can dispense noise making devices, and the best example of this is seen in the film Greyhound, where it generates noise which distracts away from the submarine's noise to take torpedoes or other search assets away from the submarine. Now, using remote noisemakers that go off at a different time period, the submarine can move from one area after leaving a noisemaker, move on its course to a different area, settle down on the ocean floor. The noisemaker can activate, distract the search away, and then the submarine can move on. So it's not indefensible by any means. Of course, it's got its torpedoes and possibly anti-surface ship missiles, but it's only got 4 of those. Now, the idea of tagging onto a merchant ship is really good because this is a really busy channel. And what you can do if you can tag onto a merchant ship, and this is how Russian subs in particular got around the American line of sonars and receivers to break into the oceans, is you can mask your noise with a searching asset, maybe an aircraft up here, you can mask your noise with the massive noise of the screws and the noise of the merchant ship. Merchant ships are not quiet. The submarine is quiet. Now, the amount that you need to get close to the merchant ship will depend on what's looking for you, whether it's dropping sonar buoys over here and or whether it's using other sensors. But the idea here is a good one, that once you get into that shipping channel, and those shipping channels tend to work one going up and one going down, that you can mask your noise. So that's the preferred option for the submarine commander. He's grateful for your input, and that's the one that he will be doing. Now, let's have a look at the bigger picture. Now, the Malmatian president and the Malagasy president, they don't want to get into a war over this. A war is bad for the economy, unless you're America, and it's bad for the people involved, some of whom sadly don't make it home. Now, war is a continuation of politics by other means, as said by Clausewitz. This war game is going to be an action short of war. If it deteriorates into war, then that is effectively a fail in the war game, because both commanders want to keep this on the low. And that's really been borne out by the next poll here, which was how should the Malagasy commander respond? So the first option was to scramble everything. Political downside in that, and you're basically saying that your country's been compromised and you're on an escalatory spiral, a bit like NATO and Russia are at the moment, on the road to war. Now, stealthily approaching the issue is the option that 78% of people went for, and I believe that to be the correct one. Because what the Malagasy commander wants to do is disarm or deny the bottle-class submarine from his waters. He wants to chase it away. He wants to remove the threat that the bottle-class submarine poses to shipping and to the oil rigs. Now, the oil rigs aren't shown on this map. This is unfortunately a real map, and I haven't had time to add all the military facilities. But as you can see, Madagascar is pretty massive. And this is the bay here where the bottle-class submarine was seen. And the area down here is where all the oil rigs are. So he wants to remove the threat from the oil rigs and remove the threat from shipping. And you can see the shipping here. You can see the ferry routes and the shipping routes here. And there is a big port up here. Now, thankfully, no one suggested do nothing as they retire soon. So you're all very good. They're very professional people. Using the army to hunt for sabotaging enemy people, yes, good option. So what the Malagasy commander is going to do is he's going to stealthily approach the issue like you've suggested. He is going to use some army, naval and anti-submarine warfare assets, and he is going to look for the saboteurs. But they're going to do that stealthily in a way that hopefully won't lead to war. And this brings us on to the legal aspects. So what is the rules of engagement that the Malagasy forces will operate to? We don't know what the Malmatians are going to do. That's up to them. But basically, the President and the Chief of Staff will say that the Malagasy armed forces can act in self-defence. You don't have to wait to be shot at. If there is an immediate threat of unlawful violence against you or against your ship, or against one of your colleagues, they can take action under what's called common law. But they are saying that a warning shot or a warning must be given before opening fire. So that's the rules of engagement, very important. And at the outset of all units being deployed, they will be given a card with these rules of engagement on them, telling them what they can and can't do. Now let's have a look at the hunt. And interestingly, the bottle class submarine, it's been ascertained that it is Red November, the lead ship of the class. Interesting that. So how are the Malagasy commander going to stealthily approach this issue? Well, let's have a look first at some theory as to how submarines are found. And what we need to do here is take some learning from Sub Brief on YouTube and other submarine channels. And this is just basic theory. This is open source stuff, nothing sensitive here. I'm not in the military and I don't have sensitive information to impart. The actual nuts and bolts and how this is done, and the actual charts that give the currents, the salinity, the intel that goes into making this, the underwater topography maps, that is sensitive, and I don't have access to that. And that differs from every part of the ocean. So if you were to take a part of the ocean like this, you can apply the theory, but the operation, which is the sensitive part, all depends on this, and it depends on your assets that you're hunting and what you're hunting them with, and that's where the sensitive stuff comes in. So this is just basic theory. So they will start with a datum point, which is from this bay here, and that is where the law boat, the Sheriff Johnstone, or you leave me alone, saw the submarine. Now the Sheriff has managed to find some additional crew from the spares box, and it does have the drone and the small boat, but it's not got a sonar that can hunt submarines. It's got one to stop it bumping into stuff, but that's it. So how this works is, well, the first thing you need to do is effectively you need to detect the submarine. Now the detection assets, the best detection assets are your aircraft, your maritime patrollers, and they can use magnetic anomaly devices. The bottle class of course is rubber coated to reduce the effect of those, and they can drop sonar buoys, and they will start using a search pattern, and they can do this quite stealthily because they're out at sea, and they're going to do that under the cover of an exercise. So there's going to be a multinational anti-submarine and land exercise to prepare the Malagasy Expeditionary Force for future deployments. So nothing to worry about, people. Everything can carry on as fine, but this area is going to be used for an exercise, and this, so commercial shipping will be rerouted away from this area, and this area here will be out of bounds to the population unless you have specific access to your farm or house, in which case you will have to provide papers and be escorted in. Now, going back to detection. So the first thing is you start with the datum point, which is here, and the rough course of the submarine is known. The commander has to make an assessment. He has to decide on the balance of probabilities whether it's going to be going north, whether it's going to be going west, whether it's going to be south. It can't go east because it will crash into the land, and this gives the commander then a frame of reference as to how far the submarine can go within 1 day of travel at 15 knots. So this becomes your first search area, and the commander can assume a rough datum and direction of travel. Of course, he has to remember that submarines can lay low, can turn, and can use topography to hide, especially in the coastal regions. Now, if the Malagasy forces do not detect the submarine in this first day, the second day search area becomes larger, and then the third day search area becomes even larger. So the key thing here is that the Malagasy commander needs to detect, apologies for my hay fever, needs to detect the submarine speedily. Now he's going to be doing this stealthily and deploying 3 SC-130 Sea Herculeses to carry out the search pattern in this area. And what they will do is they will take different areas of the search box, if you like, and they will drop their sonar buoys in that area and they will listen. If they get a detection, then they will move on to the next phase, which is to isolate and then prosecute the detection, and that's where the other resources come in. So the key asset here, and the stealthy way to approach this, is going to be done initially via the air. Now what the Malagasy commander is going to do is he's going to order his Type 212 submarine south of the Comoros Islands to take up an ambush position here, covering this area. We know that there is a Marmation intel vessel here, which is being shadowed by the Type 23 frigate. The Type 23 frigate will be ordered to break away, go out of radar and signals range, and then turn back in, and then the Type 23 will take up a position in this area. Now the Type 23 has a very advanced sonar. It's got the 2087 sonar towed array, and once it's broken away, and it can do it via its superior speed to that Intel boat, it will take up a search pattern and an ambush position here. The Malagasys do have a line of sensors here, but it's not complete, and a line of sensors here, but it's not complete. So the Type 212 submarine with its advanced sensors will take up an ambush position here. The oil rigs here, the submarine could go and hide in the oil rigs. The downside of that is it's full of underwater objects, pipelines, and it is patrolled by the P3 Orions from the oil ministry. So that's a bad idea for the submarine. And what the Malagasy commander wants to do is he wants to have his detection within 1 day if possible, 2 days at the worst, and if he has to, 3 days. Now, this is not to scale. 3 days would probably actually take him to there. But basically, the longer it takes to get a detection, the greater the search area becomes. And doing this stealthily with the cover of the exercise and with the Sea Hercules is what the commander is focused on. He's got the 2 Kanga class patrol boats, and he's going to move those into this area here. He's also got the new Wisteria class corvettes with their anti-submarine weapons, and if the parts arrive, they will take part in this exercise. The other area of oil rigs where the bottle class commander could go and hide is over here by Oilum, and that's where there's gas platforms as well. The current is coming down here, a warm current, bringing changes in salinity, and the merchant ships are coming up here. So the option that you've chosen, the Marmatian commander needs to get over here to tag on to those merchant ships. If he can get onto a good, big, fat merchant ship, he has a chance of going up and reaching safety. He has a very daunting step to cross. And here we are. I'm meant to be tidying up the house, but clearly wargaming is more important. I'll tidy it up later. And I've got the Sleeker to fix, which is important. But anyway, so here is a Sea Hercules. So 3 of these will be committed. And these, like I said, they are very good aircraft. They have, from their rear ramp, the ability to drop sonar buoys into the water. They've got pallet mounted systems inside of them. Very capable, long range aircraft. And they will be used for the detection phase. The Type 212 submarine, one of my favourite submarines ever made in the history of submarines. I absolutely love it. German, so it should be good, unlike our Skoda, which is blown up. Anyway, this is a great submarine. And then here's the Wisteria. She's awaiting completion. I need to paint her underneath. I need to get the propellers on when they arrive. Representing the Type 23, we have its anti-submarine helicopter, the Seahawk. The Wisteria, of course, carries the Lynx. The Kanga class, now a naval patrol boat, carries the MD-500 ASW helicopter. So the Marmatian commander really has a lot of stuff hunting him. But what about the poor people that he's dropped off, these saboteurs? Well, what are they trying to do? Well, the Malagasy commander thinks that they are trying to disrupt this oil pipeline. As you all know, if you've been watching the channel for a long time, Operation Red Duck, the famous Vulcan strike, and Hustler strike, the last operation of the B-58M Hustlers, really embarrassed Marmatia by destroying their Tu-22 base, and the peace of Marmatia was signed. But the Marmatians, a bit like the situation between Iran and Israel, they want to get their own back. And what better way to do it than disrupting the oil pipeline? Now, the oil pipeline runs from the imaginary oil rigs here into pumping stations here and transfer stations goes up here, where it goes into the refineries up by the port of Teleria, which of course this map's missed off. I don't know why. So the saboteurs will likely go for the oil pipeline. That's the expectation. And they can do that by drones. And that's the danger with today's operations. They don't have to plant explosives. They can do it by drones. Now, the stealthy way to approach this is under the cover of an exercise. And these are some of the units which the Malagasy commander is going to commit. The law boat, the Sheriff John Stone, is already in position in the bay. It will start looking for the saboteurs in a search pattern using its drone helicopter. And it will stay in the bay to make sure that they can't come back. Because if you're a saboteur and unless you're a suicide squad, you will want an extraction route. So in this area, there's going to be something else arriving, maybe a civilian craft, Marmation intelligence craft, but something will be arriving to extract these troops that have gone ashore. So the law boat will cover the bay, and the Malagasy forces will deploy some of their instant readiness forces. They will deploy C Company of the 4th Malagasy Expeditionary Force, minus the artillery assets, minus the anti-tank assets, the heavy anti-tank assets. They will deploy them using helicopter, of which we have an enhanced Super Puma. We have the reconnaissance platoon here with its vehicles. The reconnaissance platoon has access to drones, radar drone, infrared drone and infrared drone. They also have 3 platoons of light infantry, the anti-tank platoon with its own small drones and stingers to shoot down other drones that the saboteurs might be using. The recce platoon mounted in vehicles has 4 Foxhound PPVs. They will take the mortars with them. They will take some of the engineering assets, some extra fuel and some ammunition, and they will take their HQ team here with a light recovery vehicle and their Vikings. Now all of this will be transported by Chinook and Super Puma and Stallions. So that is almost able to be deployed within 24 hours. And the idea is that that will set up these 3 platoon harbours here, with the 4th being the company command platoon harbour, and they will start sending out patrols along the pipeline and setting up vehicle checkpoints on the roads in the area. Now this area is not well served by roads, and they will start operating in conjunction with the Super Pumas and the Chinooks to do vehicle checkpoints and to do patrols along the pipeline. Now it's really important that they don't start shooting the local population because that would be upsetting. So they are going to be doing that via the rules of engagement. They'll be taking positions in the high ground in the area and using that to run their observation posts using their advanced sensors, and they'll be dividing the area into search boxes using the drones, which have radar and which have infrared. The smaller drones also have cameras and smaller infrared, and they will be using that to try and find these saboteurs. Now, the threat of drones to the pipeline is very real, so they will be taking with them the Raytheon Coyotes, which are these, which are anti-drone systems, and they'll be setting those up around the pumping station to make sure that the pumping station isn't taken out by Marmation drones. Now, working from the bay will be the Pathfinder platoon. The Pathfinder platoon will be setting up observation points and will be working inland from the coast with its dogs. So the Marmation saboteurs have really got themselves wedged in. So what we have here is we have the Anvil, and working inland and tracking them and tracing them will be the Pathfinder platoon. They're all digitally linked to the battle system, so hopefully they won't be shooting each other, and they will be using the dogs. Dogs are brilliant to bite people and chase them down. Now this video is already getting very long, so I want to draw it to a conclusion, but some secret intel has just come in. Official eyes only, wonder what that means. Intel brief, 17th of the 6th, 2024. 2 bottle class subs have been seen leaving port from Marmatia, which is up here. They submerged when in coastal waters, so where they've gone after that is unknown. Marmatian drone units are deploying to sites. They used the Shahed 136 modified drone and other attack drones. I wonder what they could be up to. And the Kamov KA-27 crews of the Marmatian Navy have had their leave cancelled. Oh, PTO, I wonder what that means. Oh, the bottle class sub is thought to be Red November. That's the most hardcore Marmatian submarine, controlled by the most hardcore Marmite follower himself. You either love or hate him. What does that mean, and will it change things? The question I'm going to pose to you all in the poll goes back, however, to the detection. So the question I'm going to pose is, will the Sea Herculeses be successful in detecting the bottle class submarine within day 1? And will the Pathfinder platoon and its dogs and the troops which are now deploying into their platoon harbours be successful in locating the saboteurs? And we'll take it from there. Thank you for watching. I'm aware this is a long video, and I hope you enjoy the interactive war game. Take care.